Millionaires are moving to Europe? Yes, that's right. The continent that everyone has been saying for years is in a death spiral or already finished, is attracting the wealthiest in the world. And by the way, this isn't speculation. There is a lot of data behind this. But the conventional wisdom has been clearly Europe was the place you visited on vacation, not the place you built your life. But something fundamental has been shifting over the past 10 years that most people completely missed. Last week, I sat down for lunch with a North American former bank owner. He lives in Portugal under the IFISH regime. He holds a UAE golden visa as a backup, assets structured in Singapore. 3 jurisdictions, 1 strategic framework. And this same pattern keeps coming up in nearly every conversation I'm having with wealthy individuals making major relocation decisions right now. So in the next 20 minutes, I'm breaking down exactly why millionaires are moving to Europe, the strategic framework the wealthiest individuals are using, and why you should reconsider everything you thought you knew about Europe. Let me start with the migration data. For the past 3 years, the Henley & Partners Wealth Migration Reports have consistently shown European countries to be in the top 10. With the 2025 report showing a big jump from countries like Italy and a significant jump down from countries like the UK. But the data doesn't stop there. The 2026 Nomad Capitalist Report Index has just dropped. Malta ranks number 1. Greece, Ireland and Romania tied a number 2. And Italy a number 6. So 5 of the top 6 passports globally are right now European. And you might be surprised by this, but this has actually been quite consistent over the last few years. I left Italy about a decade ago when Europe felt like a sinking ship. The smart money was exiting for Dubai, Singapore and the US. A lot of that has stayed the same. I will explain more about the most common strategic framework used by millionaires later in this video. But over the past 10 years, there have been significant shifts. Italy, over 100,000 people returned under tax exemption regimes. 4,000 ultra-wealthy individuals applied for the flat tax program in just the first half of 2024. A 4 times increase despite the cost doubling from 100,000 to 200,000 per year. Now it's 300K per year, by the way. Portugal became the go-for digital nomads and retirees under the NHR, creating a decade-long migration wave that transformed Lisbon. Greece launched competitive flat tax and tax exemption programs targeting high-net-worth individuals and retirees. Cyprus built a 7-year non-dom regime with 60 days residency requirements. Poland created a €70,000 per year flat tax on a limited foreign income that almost nobody talks about. And because of these, Europe has been pulling millionaires from the UK, from Asia, from North America. The wealth migration reports prove it. But not just that. Romania now ranks number 2 globally in passport power, ahead of the UK at number 35. Think about that. A country most people wouldn't have considered even for a moment 15 years ago, 10 years ago, now has a more valuable passport than the United Kingdom. What we are seeing is a fundamental reshaping of global mobility. So the key question is, what happened? How did Europe go from finished to strategic core in a decade? By the way, if you're new here, in the coming weeks, I'll be sharing many updates and strategies when it comes to Europe especially, but not only. So make sure to hit subscribe to follow along if you want to catch those. Europe became a 2-speed continent. And this is what wealthy people understand that everyone else has been missing. The North runs on efficiency and systems. The South runs on lifestyle, food, and sunlight. Speed 1, hard for building companies from within. Bureaucracy is real, labor laws are restrictive, innovation moves slower than the US or Asia for sure. If you're building the next unicorn startup headquartered in Rome, you'll face friction that doesn't exist in San Francisco. This hasn't changed yet. Europe is still Europe on this front. Speed 2, exceptional for personal life while building value globally. Tax frameworks rewards external income. European Union mobility gives unprecedented geographical flexibility. Quality of life in Milan, Lisbon, or Athens rivals anywhere in the world. Here is the key insight. If you build globally but live locally, Europe offers combinations that don't exist anywhere else. Live in Italy under a tax regime, invoice clients in US dollars, structure assets in Singapore, maintain UAE residency as a backup, European quality of life, institutional stability, cultural depth, while paying 0% to near 0% tax on foreign income. This is the arbitrage. Let me share an example. Last week, I sat down for lunch with a former bank owner. He lives in Portugal, holds a UAE Golden Visa as a backup, assets structured in Singapore, 3 jurisdictions and 1 strategic framework. And this same pattern keeps coming up in nearly every conversation I'm having with wealthy individuals making major relocations decisions right now. If you want quality of life, the winners are Spain, Portugal, Italy, and Greece. Good taxes if structured well. Elite weather, low stress, real communities, and medium-sized cities often beat capitals. Valencia, Porto, Florence, and Thessaloniki deliver better lifestyle very often than Madrid, Lisbon, Rome, or Athens. If you want Northern European efficiency, I'd seriously consider only Switzerland and perhaps the Netherlands, without considering the tax profile. Expensive, but they work and remain highly international. Lugano and Utrecht give you 90% of big city life without the pain. Special 2026 mention Poland. Consistently positive feedback, excellent value, and 70,000 euro per year of flat tax nobody discusses. For Americans, the cheat code is Ireland. English-speaking, non-dom regime, fastest path to an European Union passport with zero culture shock. Portugal and Malta are strong runners-up. For everyone else, Cyprus is probably the smartest play for passive income. But for sheer lifestyle and beauty, Italy is still unbeatable. I'm biased for sure, but name me a better alternative, I dare you. My honest view is that unless you are optimizing purely for bureaucracy avoidance or maximum income, Southern Europe delivers what the world envies, a genuinely superb lifestyle. Now, let me break down exactly how the wealthy are using this. Most people think Europe means 50% tax rates and bureaucratic nightmares. That's profoundly untrue, but only if you know the frameworks. Let me show you the actual menu wealthy individuals are using right now, organized by what you are optimizing for. Number 1, if you're optimizing for ultra wealth. Italy's 300,000 euro flat tax regime is the premier option. All foreign income exempt for 15 years, no wealth tax, no inheritance tax on foreign assets, and no particular disclosure requirements other than those ones necessary for this tax regime. Over 4,000 applications in the first half of 2024, even after the cost doubled from 100,000 to 200,000 per year. Someone earning 10 million abroad pays over 4 million in UK taxes versus 300,000 euro in Italy right now. That's not tax optimization, that's objectively a different life. Milan's luxury real estate is booming. Ex-London hedge fund managers are flooding in. Greece also offers 100k flat tax with 500,000 investment requirement. Novak Djokovic is moving there. The math is obvious for someone at his level. The trade-off, you must establish genuine tax residency. There aren't passport arbitrage plays. But compared to paying millions elsewhere, the lifestyle-adjusted calculation is extraordinary. Number 2, if you are optimizing for capital gains, Poland is the secret. Around 70,000 flat tax on unlimited foreign income for 10 years. 5 million in foreign income means probably 1.4% of effective tax rate, 1/3 of Italy's cost, and 0 investment required. Warsaw and Krakow at significantly lower cost than Berlin. Almost nobody talks about Poland, which is exactly why the opportunity exists. Trade-offs? Cold winters? Difficult language, 19% exit tax after 5 years. But for capital gains investors and crypto holders purely optimizing on tax efficiency, this is generally one of Europe's best deals right now. Cyprus offers 10% on foreign dividends and capital gains for 17 years. The genius. 60 days residency requirements, less than UAE's 90 days. 300,000 euro real estate for permanent residency, visit once every 2 years, English widely spoken. You can live elsewhere in Europe while maintaining Cypriot tax residency, as long as, of course, you don't qualify for being tax resident elsewhere and optimizing your entire passive income structure at the same time. 3. If you're optimizing for active income, Italy's Impatriati regime, 50-60% exemption for professionals for 5 years. The effective tax rate is going to be around 10 or 12%, excluding, of course, social security contributions. Over 100,000 people returned under this program, mainly to Milan, but not only. Portugal's IFICI, 0% on foreign income, 20% on local income for tech and R&D professionals for 10 years. Most general remote workers will qualify, some won't. Double check before eventually getting into it. But if you qualify, well, you get 10 years tax certainty with a European Union citizenship path, currently in 5 years, eventually in 7 or 10 with the new upcoming legislation. 4. If you are optimizing for retirement, Italy's 7% flat tax on all foreign income for 10 years, relocate to southern towns under 20,000 people. These aren't exile locations. Sorrento, Taormina, all qualify. An American retiree with $150,000 of annual foreign income pays approximately 10.5k in taxes while living on the Mediterranean. Greece offers 7% retiree tax anywhere in the country with 183 days plus of requirement in terms of local residency. These are among the most compelling retirement structures globally when you factor in lifestyle, healthcare access, and cultural depth. 5. If you are optimizing for citizenship. Portugal, 5-year path to the European Union citizenship with minimal presence requirement. The most accessible European Union passport pathway, perhaps even via investment. Soon extending to 10 years, but let's see how things will unfold. This is still, in any case, the clearest route to European citizenship without full relocation. Ireland, fastest European Union passport for Americans with English and zero culture shock. Malta and Cyprus, 7-year citizenship possible with proper integration. The bottom line, securing any European Union passport unlocks Switzerland, Luxembourg and Liechtenstein as permanent options. That optionality alone justifies the strategy for many families out there. Now, let me show you the actual strategic framework that the wealthiest individuals are implementing. Ray Dalio has offices in Abu Dhabi and Singapore. The former bank owner I mentioned lives in Portugal with the UAE Golden Visa and Singapore structures. This same three jurisdictions pattern keeps appearing: European Union, UAE and Singapore. Based in Europe for quality of life, citizenship access and institutional stability. UAE residency as Plan B for tax flexibility and geographic diversity. Singapore structures for asset efficiency and VC-friendly frameworks. Why does this work? Winter in the UAE, summer in Europe, time zones well aligned. Seasons complement. You get the hyper-democracy in Europe, hyper-efficiency in Singapore, and hyper-growth environment in UAE. You are not trapped in one system. You are optimizing across multiple jurisdictions based on what each does best. I'm based in Portugal for these reasons. I've been in the UAE for 4 years. I put my money where my mouth is. This is the Ray Dalio approach with some revisions, of course, and interpretations. Always remember, you are buying optionality, you are not buying certainty. Now, let me address the criticism directly because this is where most people get stuck. Everyone tells you Europe is terrible, high taxes, bureaucracy, asset seizure, privacy concerns. Let me be extremely clear about what's true and what's marketing or fantasy. On bureaucracy, it's absolutely real. You will need a local setup, strong accountants, lawyers, proper structuring. But here is the comparison that most people ignore. Emerging market alternatives trade European bureaucracy for infrastructural issues quite often. High volatility, frequent instability, and sometimes objective safety concerns. Yes, taxes may be lower, bureaucracy may be less strict, citizenship and residency paths might be also cheaper and quicker, that's true. But if you want to live in a civilized places with rule of law and institutional quality, you need to accept some trade-offs. You can go to places where regulations don't apply, but when you need to move significant capital or build generational wealth, that complexity becomes always a real cost. Do you plan to live the next 70 years in location with zero institutional quality? The more developed the place, inevitably the the more regulation you have to deal with. This is universal. It applies also in Singapore, also in the UAE. On privacy, non-custodial Bitcoin is untraceable. FATCA applies globally with very few exceptions. Dubai and Europe are identical on privacy as per today. You are not obliged to use European banking infrastructure. You should diversify regardless. Exit taxes depend on each country and how wealth is structured in each specific case. If you are under a tax exemption regime with assets outside the country, exit taxes rarely apply, but double check. On wealth tax, places with value tend to ask for taxes in certain periods. This happens everywhere wealth concentrates. As an example, what about California? California has ongoing wealth tax discussions since at least 2020. It's the quintessential place for innovation. Would you say California is terrible? It depends. Objectively, the Bay Area is exceptional. There certainly is a wealth exodus happening there currently, but will it mean California is doomed forever? My take is likely not. So the key question, does wealth tax apply to you specifically? If you are under a tax exemption regime with foreign assets kept outside, wealth taxes typically don't apply to those foreign holdings. This is the distinction that matters for wealthy individuals. They will have for sure multiple qualified legal teams advising at best on these matters. Let me be clear about who this European strategy actually works for. Europe works if you want long-term optionality, citizenship for kids and future generations across 27 different legal systems. You value institutional quality and rule of law. You appreciate predictability even if the system needs reform. You can navigate bureaucracy or hire professionals who can. This requires both capital and patience. You're building value globally but want to live somewhere with depth. Remote income, international clients, mobile capital. You think in decades, not quarters. Europe does not work if you need immediate setup with zero friction. Go UAE. You require pure 0% tax with minimal presence. Eventually go Caribbean. You can't tolerate any bureaucracy. You are looking for path of least resistance. You are bootstrapping your company with under 50,000 needing the absolute cheapest option. You need a vibrant local job market. Germany or Switzerland make more sense for sure than Southern Europe. Europe is optimal for people valuing the combination of tax efficiency under tax exemption regimes, lifestyle quality, and citizenship access. Not just one of those three. By the way, if you are not subscribed to my Substack, I share these takes weekly in depth with guides and breakdowns, so make sure to check that out and subscribe so you receive those straight to your inbox. Link in the description. Now, why I believe Europe wins long term, especially in the AGI age. In the end, you can replicate Dubai's efficiency. You can build eventually another Singapore. But you can't replicate the Sistine Chapel. You cannot recreate the Côte d'Azur. You cannot manufacture the 4th generation family restaurant in Tuscany that will serve you the best steak of your life. Great quality of life plus irreplaceable cultural assets. In the end, where will everyone with means want to spend time in the next 30 years? Tuscany or Dubai? Scarcity appreciates, and what Europe has is fundamentally scarce and will only get more scarce. As the world speeds up, slowness becomes valuable. As everything becomes automated, authenticity becomes premium. Europe has 500 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The United States has 25. You can't fake civilizational density, and you certainly can't fake history. But perhaps the key reason we are seeing millionaires moving in such numbers is that these windows don't stay open forever. And they are very aware of that. Spain, Golden Visa ended April 2025. Malta, citizenship by investment terminated in 2025. Portugal, the citizenship timeline is extending from 5 to 10 years for new entrants. Italy, flat tax doubled to 200k and now in 2026 to 300,000 euro per year. Generally speaking, constitutional protection applies to those who enter a specific regime before changes occur. If you're in the system when laws change, you will be in one way or in another grandfathered. Unlike Bitcoin, you can't buy citizenship on the dip. When programs close, take Malta as an example. They are gone. The window is open, but it's always narrowing measurably. Those who secure European access in 2026, in my view, will look back in 5 years and realize that they caught the last window before programs closed or costs doubled again. Look at the differences between the Portuguese NHR and the current IFISH regime. So, as I've said in the past, Europe right now might be the most contrarian bet of the decade. I left Italy a decade ago thinking Europe was finished. I lived in Dubai for 4 years. I've spent time across Asia and Middle East. For years, I thought my home continent was declining irreversibly, and I am happy to say I was wrong. The most sophisticated people I know are not buying certainty. They are buying optionality. A European pathway to residency and citizenship is not just about one single country. It's about options across 27 different legal systems, 27 different economic environments, 27 different cultural contexts. That's insurance against single points of failure. That's an inheritance for your children. My take is that if Europe ever fully wakes up and becomes pro-business, it won't be just competitive. It will be at that point unstoppable. Because the cultural moat, the centuries of history, the institutional quality, the civilizational depth can never be replicated. In a world where AI can create anything digital, what becomes valuable is what cannot be created. Authentic human experiences that took centuries to develop. Europe has that in abundance. And wealthy individuals who understand strategic positioning are moving there while tax frameworks remain favorable and citizenship pathways remain accessible. The strategic framework is EU plus something, perhaps UAE and Singapore. Winter in UAE, summer in Europe, assets in Singapore. I know people who can do that also with large families with multiple kids. And optionality for them is everywhere. If you are seriously considering European pathways and want help thinking through which option fits your specific situation, visit citizenship.com. Link in the description to schedule a consultation, and we'll be happy to discuss with you your best options. Otherwise, make sure to subscribe because I'll be breaking down specific country deep dives and tax strategies in the coming weeks. Thanks for watching and ciao for now.